Hey everybody, this is Kirby White. I'm going to make this video tutorial to talk about Mendeley, which is a tool and a software and a program that has really helped me so far in grad school. I definitely recommend that you use it through your time at SPU. It's going to make making citations in your papers and managing your articles and even note-taking so much easier than doing it manually. This is not a replacement for knowing APA formatting. So don't even try and think that that's what this is. This is an aid to get you closer, so it'll save you time to do it properly, but it is not error-free, and so you definitely have to know what proper APA formatting is so that you can correct any issues that you find, but hopefully I'll be able to help you avoid most of those even before you get started. Just a little bit about why this is important for me. My conscientiousness, according to some tests, is in the 14th percentile, which means I miss just about every detail that's possible to be missed. As a good example of that, this is actually my second time recording this video, because the first time I did it, the microphone was muted. So I got it all uploaded and edited, and it was a great video, just with no audio. So this is round 2 for me. So using Mendeley is a way for me to, I think of it as outsourcing my conscientiousness. I'm going to screw it up if I do it on my own, so Mendeley gets me a lot of the, much closer to the end point and to the goal than I could do on my own. So it gets me there much faster, much quicker, and then it just makes it so much easier for me to only worry about a few things instead of trying to manage the entire reference list in a paper. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to want to have is Office 365, which you can get from SPU. Go to spu.edu/downloads. And this is the Computer and Information Services, or CIS. This is their download center for software that is free for students. So click on Current Students, and you can use Windows or Mac. It doesn't matter. Mendeley should work the same in both of them. If you already have Office 365 before starting the program, it's not necessarily a bad idea to uninstall it, reinstall it through your SPU credentials, and then log into your SPU account that way. That way it just automatically is synced with the SPU network and infrastructure. So that's my advice, but you can do what you want. CIS is a great place for help troubleshooting. I'm happy to help if you have any issues with it, but I recommend going to see them first. They work with a ton of students that have Macs or old computers or just have goofy things going on, so they are really a great resource. Their office is in Marston. They're in the basement, so shouldn't be too hard for you to get to them. So let's get Office for Windows or Office for Mac or whatever it is, and let's, yeah, that's your first step. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to do that, and then come back, and we'll go to Mendeley.com. And here, of course, you can just click download, and that'll put in, that'll download the installer package that then you can open up, and I'll let you do that on your own. But eventually, you should end up with something that looks a bit like this. This is the software version of Mendeley. There's also an online version, but I haven't used that, so I can't really speak to that. But this is a combination PDF viewer, PDF organizer, and citation machine. So first I'm going to talk about how it works with PDFs. Let's say that we download an article from, I don't know, PsycInfo or Google Scholar or something like that. So we download it, and we want to take a look at it. I'll just pick this one. I have my computer set up so that PDFs automatically open in Mendeley, but most people don't do that. But if you right click on it and click Open With, and then select Mendeley Desktop, you'll see that in Mendeley it opens up, and here you can see that same file, Brickman method manual. Double click on it and it opens up. So it didn't start on the first page for this one because I looked at it before, but here we can fit it to a page. We can scroll down, we can read everything, we can highlight. Ooh, so there, I just highlighted that yellow. So if I want to take a note or remember that. And some people use different colors. So red might be the color that they use for issues in the article that they want to remember to talk about in class because they disagree with it or they don't understand it. Whereas a yellow highlighting might be just something that they want to remember for next time. you can also add notes to it. So let's say, what the heck is this? And that now is a note that's attached to that that highlighted portion. And over here, you can see there's this little kind of menu, and we've got this notes section. And so in here, this is the comment that I made yesterday when I was making the video. But here you can see the comments that you've left on an article. So if you're taking notes on it while you're reading it, and then a week or two later it comes up in class, you can just open it up in Mendeley, go to the notes section, and you can see what comments you made, and click on it, and it'll take you right to it. So that's how Mendeley works. I think it's really handy for note taking. In the library section, so you click on this tab to go back to the library, you can organize everything into folders. So you can see that I've pretty much made a folder for I think every class that I've been in so far, and that's where I keep track of the articles that we're supposed to be reading through class. So here in leadership and team development, you can see these are all the articles that, oh my goodness, I never scrolled through this. There's a ton of stuff. So you can keep your articles organized in there. You can also do subfolders if you wanted to. So like here I had a folder just for the paper that we were writing in stats. Some people may choose to organize their articles by every week. I don't do that in Mendeley, but there's no reason you can't if you want to. So it helps keep organized with the files. For the PhD students, somewhere in your third year, you're going to have to go back and relearn everything that we talked about in your very first courses, like an OB or LTD or any of that stuff. So to me, I do this not because it's necessarily useful in the moment or for each week in school, but because someday for comps I'm going to have to go back and find it. So I'm trying to build an organization method that is not necessarily useful now, but will be useful to me in 2 years or 3 years or whenever it is that comps will be coming down the pipe for you. So that's the library. You just click create folder to do that. Mendeley is free, but there are some premium options. So if you want, you can create a group with your cohort and you can all share files and notes and annotations and highlighting. At some point that becomes not free. There's kind of a, I think you have it's a storage limit. So there's like 100 megabytes that you get to share or something like that. So it's not free forever. Our cohort hasn't really taken advantage of that. You can if you want to. Oh, I didn't mention this the first time, but let's talk about it now. There's also a way to filter the articles by author. So if you remember that somebody said something, but you don't remember what class or which article it was, that's okay. You can just go here and filter by who the author is. So Timothy Judge, who's written just about every article ever known to man, I can click on his name and it'll bring up these 2 articles. Now, if anyone from my cohort is looking at this, I'm sure they're seeing this as, what the heck? How do you only have 2 Judge articles? It's not that I only have 2, but it's that I only have 2 Judge articles in the LTD folder over here. I probably don't have any in Faith and Meaning and Practice. I don't have any from Hacking. If I scroll up here and go to All Documents, now we can see these are all the research articles we've read from Judge that I have somewhere in Mendeley. So that is a super handy way of keeping things organized, is being able to filter by author and go look them up later. So that is one of the handy things about Mendeley, filtering by author. When you go searching, you can just type in your, whatever you're looking for. So if it's job performance, you can start doing that. I'm sorry, this screen doesn't work very well with Mendeley for me. On most computers it's fine, but anyway, this normally isn't as cumbersome as it looks right now. But you can type this in and it will bring up the articles that you have that have something to do with that, whether it's in the title or the body of the manuscript itself. You can also click on this arrow to selectively search within titles or authors. So if I want to do Judge, I could do that same thing. Same way I filtered earlier, I can just do it from that search bar. Those are probably the things I use most often in Mendeley, excuse me. So that's how it works as an organizational tool. And at this point, maybe it's better maybe it's not, then your current organizational system, you know, I don't know for sure. This might not be very convincing to you. But let's switch gears and talk about how it works in Microsoft Word and for paper writing. And that's where I think Mendeley takes off as a thing. So like I said, you should have Office 365 downloaded already. You need to close out of Microsoft Word before you do this. But from Mendeley, go to Tools, and there should be this Install Microsoft Word plugin button. We're going to click that, and it was super quick for me. It may take a little bit longer for you, but I got this pop-up that said it has been installed. So I'm going to click OK there, and now I'm going to open Microsoft Word. And we're going to practice writing a paper, which is going to be so fun. So I'm just going to open up I'm starting a paper from scratch. And let's say that I want to write something profound, like job performance and job satisfaction are awesome. Now, this seems like an opinion, but it's actually not. This is a fact. And so because it's a fact, Dr. Yost wants me to cite it. And so I know from my APA publication manual, 6th edition, there's literally just sitting here on my desk all the time, because I use it so often, I have to put an in-text citation here. So we can do that with Mendeley. Now that we've installed the Microsoft Word plugin, I'm going to scroll over here to the References tab. And I can see that I have this Mendeley Cite-O-Matic tool in here. And there's a couple buttons that we're going to talk about. But the primary one is Insert Citation. So you can either click this button, or on a PC, you can type in Alt-M from the keyboard, which I'm going to do right now. So Alt-M brings up this little search bar. And this is the same, you know, effectively, this is the same search as what we were doing in Mendeley just a second ago. I can do a search for Judge Timothy, maybe, if I can find it. Yeah, so Judge Timothy, and he wrote this article a while ago called Job Satisfaction, Job Performance Relationship. Sweet. That surely is the one that I want to cite. So I typed in his name, and then I clicked on the article that I wanted to cite. I'm going to click OK here. Mendeley thinks for a second, and boom. We have ourselves an APA formatted citation. That is pretty darn slick. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say something else like happiness is cool too, bro. Again, not an opinion, so I'm going to cite this. And I don't know what I'm citing here. Let's do this one. So we got this Ryan 2001 article. I also wanted, you know, there's probably multiple articles that say happiness is cool as well. So let's do this one. Happiness is a personality thing. So here we have Ryan and Weiss. And I guess these are already alphabetical, but even if they weren't, I'm going to put both of those into here. Click OK, and it will figure out the order that those citations should be inserted into the paper, and it'll do it automatically. Now, you'll notice that this is just a practice I've developed. I highlight all my automated citations as I'm writing the paper, because at the very end, when I'm going through, after I've written everything, I'm just not even proofreading it. This is literally like right before I turn it in. I go through the whole paper looking for the highlighted portions, and that reminds me just to double check that I put it in the right place. I'm usually not concerned that they you know, have formatted it incorrectly, but I definitely have to check that. But most of the time, the mistake I make is putting the period and then the citation, and that, of course, is incorrect, which you know because you have the APA Publication Manual, 6th edition, and you read it. So, wow, already we have made some great leaps and bounds with in-text citations. If I want to add to this citation, it's super easy. I just click into it, and now you can see that it has changed from insert citation to edit citation. So I'm going to edit it, and let's find another one about job performance. So I can go back and add into the same citation, so within the same parentheses. And you can see there that that article that I put in, the first author started with an A, and so it inserted that before the judge article. So that's pretty handy. But then I decided, no, that article is actually stupid. We don't want it. So edit it, close out that that article or delete it from the listing there, click OK, and it updates it. Now, some of you are still going to be skeptical, and you're going to be like, meh, this is cool and all, but really it's not that many words. I can just do that on my own, Kirby. I'll say, yeah, you can. And you'll be wrong, but you still can. That's okay. This is America. You can be wrong. Now, though, we're at the end of the paper. I'm going to go back to my Mendeley Cytomatic in the References tab. I'm going to click Insert Bibliography, and now you're going to hate that you're wrong. Just like that, I put in a whole references section. Mendeley does the formatting for me, so it put in the hanging indent, which you should know how to do without Mendeley. But it put it in for me. It does the double spacing, I think. So with one click, I put in the whole references section. There have been many of my papers that have had 2 or 3. I think the longest references section I've had is probably 4 pages. And still, one click gets me a 4-page long references section. So, yeah, pretty sweet. But this is where you have to go through and you have to make sure that it is accurate. It usually won't screw up whether, this should be italicized or not, but very often I'll accidentally allow Mendeley to put in something that's where the title is in, well, I guess uppercase, where the first letter of every word is capitalized, because that's the way APA wants the titles capitalized for their paper, so it's probably submitted that way with the title capitalized like that, but then we don't reference it that way. So Mendeley is incredibly useful for doing this quickly, but it's a computer. It doesn't know if you gave it incorrect information. So let's go back to Mendeley and see just where it is that it's getting the information that it's using to create the references guide. So let's go to Mendeley. Let's go find that judge one that I was talking about. So I'm going to filter by author and start typing Judge Timothy. And we were talking about this job satisfaction, job performance relationship. So now that I've found it in Mendeley, I'm just going to click on it once. You can open it if you want to, actually. So I'll just open it. This is the article. And over here on the right in this pane over here, there's the detail section, and this is where Mendeley stores all the information that it's eventually using through what I think of as like a recipe. It's taking these pieces of information and building them together into a reference. So if the information over here is wrong, the information in your Word document is going to be wrong. So let me prove it to you. I'm going to add myself as an author. Mendeley doesn't know that I didn't write this article, nor do they know that it's not called Job Satisfaction. Nor do they know that it wasn't in issue 12. So I'm going to change this information over here just to show that that's how it works, because very often when you download an article, you'll open it in Mendeley. A lot of this information will be pre-populated, which is fantastic, but oftentimes it's wrong. So head over back to Word and we look at this and we go, actually it isn't wrong until you refresh it. So there's a refresh button here in Mendeley Cytomatic. We're going to click that, and look here in our in-text citation, it has added me as an author. Pretty sweet. It moved this reference down in the list because White was now the last name alphabetically instead of Judge, so it was first earlier. Let's get rid of that. But Chris is calling me soon. And it has totally jacked up the name of the article. It's also included the issue number in here, which we know we probably don't need. So all that to say, Mendeley can, if you feed it wrong information, it's going to spit out wrong information. So we're going to change this. We'll put it back to the gosh, I hope I get this right. Job satisfaction, job performance, relationship. In APA, we capitalize the first letter after a colon only in references, not in the paper itself, which you know because you have read your APA publication manual, 6th edition. A qualitative and quantitative review. Kirby White did not write this one, and it was not in issue 12. So now that we've corrected this, we're going to go back and hit refresh, and whoosh, just like that, it went back to normal. Thank goodness that we looked at that and that we know what a properly APA formatted reference section looks like. Excuse me. So that's how you can build those references. Let's go back and talk a little bit about how to make sure we get this correct. Let's say we get an article that doesn't have any information in it. Watch this. This is risky. This doesn't work. Oh my goodness. We're just deleting everything. We don't care about any of this. Let's say we open an article that doesn't come with any information in here, but we still want the information. I don't want to go through and type it all on my own, but we have on our article a DOI number. Mendeley has this pretty sweet tool where it can look up information based on a DOI. So let's say I cut and paste the DOI into here and I click this lookup magnifying glass. It thinks for a second and bam, it has populated all these fields in here. So using the DOI is a great way to shortcut getting information in there. Again, it may not do it correctly. Like I don't keep the periods in this part of of its information. Sometimes it'll come in with these all capitalized, which we of course need to correct because that's not right, because you read your APA publication manual. So like we're going to take out the issue number. Not that you always take out the issue number, but sometimes. And for this one, we know that we don't need it. But that's a great way to kind of shortcut the the time that it takes to get that accurately. Let's talk about another type real quick, another type of reference, because this one is obviously a research article, which is primarily what we do. Let me think about what's one that would be in the handbook of IO psychology. APA handbook. Let's do this one. Work groups and teams and organizations. This one is not a research article. I mean, it is research. It's published research, but it is a book section. And so over here, when I've opened it up, we're going to head over to the details section again. And this is where this drop-down menu becomes critical. For the judge article, it was selected to be a journal article because that's what it was. But for this one, it's a book section, meaning that it's a chapter that was written by an author that was compiled into a book by a different author or by editors. And that is formatted differently, which you know from your APA manual. So let's, what is this called? Work groups and teams and organizations. So we're going to add this one, work groups and teams and organizations. Woo! We're going to do that. Kozlowski, 2012. Mike Kozlowski. Okay, so we put in the in-text citation there. It updated our references automatically. Kozlowski is in here. Work groups and teams and organizations. This probably shouldn't be capitalized in here, but I'm just going to leave it for now. But this is formatted completely differently than the research articles. We've got editors included. We have the title of it. We have the edition, as well as the page numbers. All that information isn't included in the fields, like in those fields when it's selected to be a journal article. So make sure that this one is correct for what you're citing, because if we told Mendeley that this was a journal article when in fact it's a book section, again, it's not going to know that magically. It's only going to do it with the information that you give it. So that's just a thing to be aware of. So at this point, all of you should be convinced that Mendeley is a great thing to be using and should be leveraging. My advice to you, I think this is an example where I have broken that advice, but my advice to you is that when you get an article and you open it in Mendeley, that very first time you open it, that's when you go through this information to make sure that it's correct. That just keeps everything aligned. You do it that time. You, of course, review it before you turn in the paper because you may find a mistake or something that you missed earlier. But that, to me, has been the most helpful time to do it. I think I didn't do it for this one because I don't think I ended up ever citing it. But, yeah, that's okay. So you should all be convinced that Mendeley is an awesome thing to use. But there's a problem. The Mendeley recipe for APA formatted citations is actually wrong. So when you download and install Mendeley, for the first time and put it in your put in the Word plugin, it probably asked you what citation style do you want, and you probably told it American Psychological Association 6th edition, which is what I did too. And when you use that one, so I just switched styles, which changed the way that it references things. It's mostly right, but they put in this stupid prefix before the DOI numbers. This is not the way that DOIs are supposed to be referenced, which you know from your APA publication manual. So the first time I was using this, I was like, this is the stupidest thing. This is creating more work for me. I mean, I guess it's okay. Like, you know, at the very end, what I can do is just go in and change the citation, and that's okay, I suppose. Like, I can do that, you know, here and here. But then if I go back over here and if I do anything to this, let's just say I get rid of that citation and I refresh it. Now it has taken out the edits I made and it has put back in this stupid prefix. So that's pretty ridiculous. I don't know why it's that way. I don't know who made the recipe in Mendeley for APA that did it incorrectly. I don't know why it hasn't been fixed yet, because now it's over a year. I don't know who's supposed to fix it. But nonetheless, that's the way it is. However, that's a problem. But one of the things that Mendeley does that's great is it's an open source, or at least an open platform. So they allow you to create your own styles of citation. So I went in to Mendeley, into their code editor, and kind of rebuilt their APA 6th edition one. That makes it sound cooler than it is. Really, I was just able to modify pieces of it into this APA 6th edition Kirby White one and correct it. So now at least the DOIs are not incorrect. There might be other things that are still wrong that I just haven't seen before. But what's cool about this is that I can share that style with everyone. So in Word, if you go to More Styles, it'll take you over to Mendeley, and you can see here that there's the citation styles, and you can see which ones are installed. Ooh, it says there's an update. Let's update it. Actually, I'm going to do this on my own time, but I might come back to you with an update soon. So it says here that I've got, you know, this Kirby White one installed. That's the default style that I'm using. If you go to Get More Styles, you can download a style with a URL. So I'm going to post the URL in the description of this video. I will also post it right here so you can pause the video and write it down if you'd prefer to do that. Oh, sorry, this is where my screen gets stupid. So if you take this link and put it into here in this download style menu and click download, it'll download it, and it will automatically select that as your default citation style. The beautiful thing about that is that if any of you find an error where it still is programmatically doing your citations incorrectly, let me know. I can change it and then push an update out to everybody else that's using this style. They'll get this update available thing, and I'll send out an email saying, hey, update your APA or your Mendeley style. So I can push out those changes to everybody so we can maintain integrity with our Mendeley citations. So go ahead and do that. Here's that link again. If you need to pause it and write it down, go ahead and do that, and you should be able to see that in Word when you select it here. More styles or from this drop down menu, and you should be able to do all the things with it. Gosh, I think that's all I have. Wow, this is 7 minutes shorter than the video I made yesterday without any audio. I wonder if I missed something. I don't think so. Let me look at my syllabus. Nope. You guys are good. That's Mendeley. I just talked faster than I did yesterday. I want to make another video soon about using Microsoft Word templates to format your papers. I think that's another area where you should not be using your own conscientiousness and working against yourself to write papers. There are some things that Word can do that make it much easier to format and organize your papers. So I'll have another video about that coming up soon. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help troubleshoot. Go to CIS if you have issues with Office 365 and Word. Go to Google if you have issues with Mendeley, and if you still can't solve it, then come to me. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.